Triggers are next. What do these requirements have in common? Automatically transition bug to in progress when a branch is created in Bitbucket. Automatically transition issue when pull request is created. And automatically close a task when the review is closed in Crucible. What's the answer here? These are all automated actions that happen in Jira when events occur in development tools. A trigger transitions a Jira issue when certain events occur in a connected development tool, such as Atlassian's Fisheye Crucible, Bitbucket, and GitHub. It automates the transition. Instead of relying upon developers to manually update the status of issues after committing code, completing reviews, creating branches, etc., you can configure triggers in your workflow to automatically transition issues when these events occur in your DevTools. When a trigger is executed, the conditions and validators are ignored, and only the post functions are executed. This means that any permissions on who can transition the issue are completely ignored. You can still drag issues between columns on the Agile board or update your status manually using the workflow buttons in the issue. And in that case, permissions, conditions, and validators are still respected. Workflow automation triggers simply provide more options for how issues move from one status to the next, as well as provide assurance that the current status reflects the actual state of development. Before you can start using triggers, a Jira admin needs to connect your development tools to Jira. Then configure triggers in Jira workflows that respond to events in the linked DevTools. Here are some common triggers, but there are other triggers in these DevTools and in others. In Bitbucket, when a developer creates a branch to start work on an issue, or when he commits code and he references the Jira issue in the branch name or the commit message, that issue can automatically be transitioned from to-do to in progress. When a pull request is created, the related issue can be automatically moved from in progress to in review status. And when it is merged, the issue can automatically transition from in review to done. In Crucible, when a review is started, the related Jira issue can be automatically transitioned from in progress to in review. And when the review is closed, a trigger can transition the Jira issue to done. Additionally, triggers can be set up to stop progress on an issue, that is, to transition from in review back to in progress, when a review is rejected or abandoned in Crucible. Do not configure triggers for global transitions unless you're confident that you understand exactly how the trigger will affect the behavior of the issue. Configuring triggers for global transitions can often result in an issue unexpectedly transitioning to the target status for the global transition. For example, consider if you configured a commit created trigger for the global transition to the in progress status. Committing code can happen at many stages during an issue's lifecycle. For example, when writing the initial code, changing code after a review, etc. This could result in the issue incorrectly transitioning to in progress out of a number of other statuses. In a workflow, you can have multiple transitions coming into the same status, as shown here. One can be executed manually by end users, named Start Progress here, and it may contain permission-based conditions and validators. Another transition, simply named Progress, can be invoked by a trigger from a dev tool. It won't have conditions and validators because they would be ignored anyway. In order not to confuse users and keep it simple, you can use a condition to hide this particular transition from the user, since it will only be triggered from a dev tool. There is a condition called Hide Transition from User, which will hide it. Let's look at an example of how a trigger appears when configured in Jira. Notice the number 1 next to the Triggers tab on the transition, and there are no conditions or validators. If there were, they would be ignored. The branch created trigger automatically transitions the issue when a related branch is created in a connected Bitbucket repository.